Good morning, New Brunswick, and welcome to the New Brunswick Today Show for Friday, October 28th. I'm Charlie Cradaville. We've got a great show for you today. Our guest is Chris Roberts, our intrepid reporter here at New Brunswick Today. It is 54 degrees and partly cloudy here in downtown New Brunswick. The high today is 61. The low tonight is going to be 43. And some good news, weather.com predicting we're going to have a beautiful weekend. 71 on Saturday, 79 on Sunday is the prediction. Very little chance of rain, so make sure you get out there and enjoy that nice weather. Now we've got just a few traffic advisories for you this morning. Somerset Street is closed between Bethany and Route 27. That's until 4 p.m. And Stockton Road over in Rutgers Village is going to be closed at Prentice Road until 4 p.m., though local traffic will be permitted. Now, to all of you watching this broadcast on our Facebook Live page, please do us a favor, share this video with your friends right now so they can see the show. You can also comment on the video with your questions, with your feedback, as well as reaching out to us through our Twitter account at NB_today. And later today, this video is going to be available on our YouTube channel as well as the NewBrunswickToday.com website. Now, election season is upon us, and we've got a lot of local elections just a week away. So in addition to those races for president and U.S. Congress, one part of Middlesex County is also electing a state senator and a member of the state assembly. The entire county is also going to elect a sheriff, along with 3 out of the 7 freeholders who run the county government. But that's not what we're focused on here at the New Brunswick Today Show. We care about the local races. So we've got 4 towns electing mayors on November 8th. That's Piscataway, Perth Amboy, East Brunswick, and Spotswood. You can count on us to cover all of them, plus races for town council and Board of Education. But even those are not our top story today. The top story, and perhaps the most surprising storyline in Middlesex County's local elections, is playing out right now in Carteret. It's not an election for a public office, but rather an election that will decide whether or not to ever have elections again. And this is troubling. Let me explain. Now, when voters go to the polls on November the 8th, they might be focusing on who to cast their ballots for in all those national, county, and local races. But if they take the time to look at the bottom of their ballot, they'll see at least 2 questions. Now, ballot questions can have a big impact on you as a resident, as a citizen, as a voter here in New Jersey, but not a lot of people think about them until they actually get in the voting booth. So this November 8th, first of all New Jerseyans are going to be asked at least those 2 state questions. One about casinos, the other about the gas tax. But those aren't what we're here to talk about today either. We're concerned with local questions, and one in particular. That's what takes us to Carteret, a relatively small community in northern Middlesex County. It's sandwiched between Perth Amboy, Woodbridge, and Union County. It's home to 23,000 people. This is Dan Ryman. He is the mayor of Carteret and has been for 13 years. He's hoping to take over the school system and put an end to local school board elections in that town. Mayor Ryman is already quite involved in the school system, but he wants total control. We requested the petitions of the incumbents running for Board of Ed there, and the man who circulated them, Dan Ryman. So Ryman hasn't been shy about endorsing candidates for school board, even though most mayors in other towns don't try to influence school elections. He does, that's fine. But what he wants to do next has us worried. Ryman convinced the 9 Board of Education members, including those 4 who he's trying to get reelected, to put a question on the November 8th ballot that would effectively end democracy in that school system. The ballot question would change Carteret's school board to a different type, one that doesn't have elections at all. And under the new system, Ryman would get to appoint all of the board members, and they would be beholden to him. Now, according to an article in the Home News Tribune, Ryman has said that the only thing people complain about in Carteret is the school system, and he wants a chance to take charge of it. If more voters side with Ryman and vote yes instead of no, the school elections will become a thing of the past. Needless to say, here in New Brunswick, where we fought hard to end the mayor-appointed school board system, taking control away from Mayor Cahill in 2012, we're worried about what Mayor Ryman wants to do. Basically, turning back democracy in the interests of his own power. Now, even if Ryman's a good mayor and he appoints good people to the Board of Ed, he won't be mayor forever. and permanently switching to a mayor-appointed board could have disastrous consequences in the future. Now, we asked the most prominent Carteret resident we knew what he thought about the ballot question. This is freeholder Ronald Rios. He told us very simply, I haven't decided yet, at the freeholder board meeting on October the 20th. But just 2 days later, Rios was posting on the mayor's page in support of the school takeover question. Quote, yes, the mayor has a proven track record, and I think his vision is for a better Carteret. Vote yes. That's what Ron Rios wrote on October 22nd. So stay tuned to the New Brunswick Today Show next week as we look into this ballot question as well as 3 other local questions and those 2 state questions, plus all the other local races here in Middlesex County. In other news, if you hear some loud, out-of-place noises during our show over the next few months, it's probably because the New Brunswick Parking Authority is demolishing the building next to our downtown studio. The city announced it would be demolishing the abandoned Ferrin Mall and parking garage, quote, on or about November 1st. But without a more specific warning, they actually got started yesterday, and the demolition is supposed to take 6 to 7 months. Now, what will replace the massive structure that takes up 2 city blocks? Well, that's not really clear right now. The New Brunswick City Council actually voted to table a redevelopment plan that the planning board had passed earlier this year, so it's kind of still up in the air. Future development of the site has been in the works since at least April 2013, when the NBPA, which owns that land in question, signed an exclusive deal with New Brunswick Development Corporation, better known as DevCo, to try to attract tenants to the new super skyscrapers they were planning to build there. Now, the city's other major autonomous authority is the NB Housing Authority. We're going to have a story later today about yet another board member leaving that embattled agency's Board of Commissioners. We already told you that Anthony Cupano, city resident and a former state worker whose wife was once a county freeholder here, has officially left the NBHA board after missing at least 38 straight meetings over the last 3 years. Cupano is the 3rd member of the board to leave office since this newspaper began aggressively covering the federally funded agency last summer. Now, despite that, the city government claimed that the NBHA does not have, quote, weak membership after the state had persuaded them to evaluate whether or not they should even have such an authority. Now, the NBHA Board of Commissioners was actually forced to cancel yet another public meeting at the last minute. You can see this not the first time that's happened this year. Now, Cupano was occupying the 1 seat on the board that's appointed by the state governor. That means it will be up to Chris Christie, who's been dealing with some legal problems of his own recently, to appoint a new person to fill that vacancy on the board. Now, for the first time in 2 seasons, the New Brunswick High School boys soccer team lost 2 consecutive games. Each of those losses were by a very narrow margin. They were close matches. Just 1 goal separated them from the other team. The Zebras lost to Monroe 3-2 in their final regular season game, and then dropped another contest to the Metuchen Bulldogs by a score of 2-1 in the Greater Middlesex Conference Tournament. Our reporter Stephen Roca was there. He's got a video report for you. This is Stephen Roca from the Metuchen, New Brunswick soccer game. We'll be
here with the boys soccer team of Metuchen. You guys just took down the second-seeded Zebras, 2-1. Tell me what's going through your minds right now.
Well, beginning right out of the gate, we knew this team was going to be very good. We played them last year. We didn't get a very good result, so we knew we would have to play our game, play tough, and be locked down on defense to have a chance.
I feel like it was all in the first 15 minutes, and we talked about that at the beginning of the game. And once we won those first 15, quote unquote, I just had a feeling, and so from then it's just channeling that into the game and keeping that focus. So I wasn't surprised. I didn't really expect to be here, but I saw it developing.
Yeah.
I'm speechless right now. Like, it's so exhilarating. I'm happy that I got off that goal and to give us the win. But like Kyle said, we played them last year. They were very good. I knew that we were going to have to play hard and competitive just to beat them, and in the end we did that. So I'm glad.
let's talk about that goal. How good did that feel? And I think it was a pass from midfield. You had just a snapshot of a chance to get that off, and we get taken out, but it goes right in. So, you know,
You've had plenty of those missed, so
I've missed a lot of those. Well, it feels great just to get that goal off. It hurt and it felt great. I'm like surprised that it went in too, but I'm happy.
Did you even see the goal?
No, I did not. I saw the keeper hit me and then I was down.
Did you know the defense was up on you, or
Yeah,
that's how you need to take it? Okay.
I gotta say thanks to Abby for just taking one for the team there. That's the definition of taking one for the team.
And let's say the last minute for you, a minute or two was hectic for you. What you
It
know,
was hectic.
the ball is bouncing all around a lot.
I just
trying to
decided,
make sure
we're not supposed to be here, might as well go all out for it. So, just hashtag no regrets there.
And you mentioned, you guys were here last year. It's a 5-1 loss last year. This year it's a 2-1 win. We'll talk about that improvement. Now this gives you an opportunity to advance in the tournament.
I don't even know what to say about that. Last year we had we definitely had a more talented team last year. We were loaded with seniors, and we all played like year round. But this year it's all about the teamwork. We're a much closer knit group of guys. Hang out at least twice a week. Go to Quaker Steak and Lube once a week at least. So we're all together. Our motto is family. That's all I can really say.
Oh, hello. So first things first, if you haven't gotten your copy of the latest issue of NB Today, go out there and get it while you can. It's jam-packed with our best articles from around Middlesex County. It's available for free for a limited time. It's in English and Spanish. We're already working on the next one. And to find out where you can pick up your copy of the New Brunswick Today newspaper, you can go to newbrunswicktoday.com and click on where to find NB Today in print. Now, the great thing about this show is you can listen to it in the background while you check out some of the fantastic stories that we've got on our website. In addition to his great coverage of the Zebras soccer team, Stephen Roque also has a story about the New Brunswick High School football team. Unfortunately, it's also a loss for the Zebras. 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 34 unanswered points in the first half, along with a recovered kick return, helped the Old Bridge Knights put the Zebras away on senior night and continue their unbeaten division record. You can read all about it on the newbrunswicktoday.com website. Now, right above that on our site, you'll see a story that I've got about another killing in Carteret, the borough we discussed earlier. On October the 18th, authorities finally announced the fatal beating of a Carteret man on Holly Street, but those same authorities had kept the fatality a secret for nearly a week, citing only investigative reasons. Hector W. Torres, age 59, was pronounced dead at 12:03 a.m. on October 12th in the first floor home that he rented on Holly Street in Carteret, according to a press release issued by the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office. The statement also indicated that the County Medical Examiner's Office had determined the victim died from blunt impact injury to his head. But the County Prosecutor's Office did not publicize the crime until October the 18th at 3:16 p.m., more than 6 days after the slaying. It's highly unusual for law enforcement to keep such a serious crime a secret for so long. It's also at least the second murder in Carteret in less than a month. As we reported, the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office is investigating a fatal stabbing just a few blocks away that occurred on September the 20th. According to the county prosecutor's statements, no arrests have been made in either of the killings. Now, Carlos Ramirez has the story of an immigrant family now living in fear after being threatened by unidentified law enforcement officials. We published this story yesterday. It got a lot of attention and a lot of discussion started. On Wednesday, October the 12th, just after 7 a.m., a city family was visited by some unknown law enforcement agents who threatened them with future harassment and even arrest if they are seen in public. According to the family, who lives on Seaman Street, the officers were looking for a man who no longer lives at that address, and officers showed papers to one of the home's residents after being asked if they had legal authority to enter the home. One resident told New Brunswick Today that officers were looking for her brother. She explained that her brother no longer lived in the home. But during the search, the officers entered the room of small children where they were sleeping. The mother told us that they flashed their faces, the kids' faces with a flashlight, and the kids ran out scared. The family originally feared that those law enforcement officers might be federal agents affiliated with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, partly based on the way they spoke to the family. At some point during the search, one of those officers apparently brought up national politics, according to the family. The officer said, quote, "When he becomes president, everyone will be sent back to their country," referring to presidential candidate Donald Trump. Now, another quote was, "We already took out one guy in this house, and we'll keep going if we have to." That was another officer speaking to the family. And now New Brunswick Today reached out to the county prosecutor's office as well as the New Brunswick Police Department to see if they were involved in this case. The NBPD said they had no record of an investigation or call for service in that home. However, the county prosecutor's office spokesperson James O'Neill did not respond to our question. We showed him this picture of the officers, asked him if they work for the county prosecutor's office. He did not get back to us. So we'll keep you posted on that story. And additionally, our business reporter Dave Schatz has the story on an apparel retailer. Wet Seal is going to open up a short-term outlet at the Woodbridge Center Mall on November the 3rd. That's according to a company news release. New Jersey is just one of 9 U.S. states where Wet Seal is going to open up a total of 13 pop-up locations for the gift-giving season, but those are only at General Growth Properties malls, which, as we reported previously, they're hoping to combat high vacancy rates. So the stores will range between 3,000, 5,000 square feet. They'll offer contemporary fashion and holiday gifts, the retailer said. You can read the full story and much more at newbrunswicktoday.com. Now, Chris Roberts has been covering environmental issues for New Brunswick Today, and you might remember him from his previous appearances on this show. Now, later today, in just a bit, he's going to have a big story about a drought warning being declared for several counties in the Garden State. It's the first time since November 2001 that the state took this kind of action. October 21st was the day when the Department of Environmental Protection Commissioner Bob Martin signed an administrative order designating a drought warning for the following counties: Bergen, Essex, Hudson, Hunterdon, Mercer, Middlesex, Monmouth, Morris, Ocean, Passaic, Somerset, Sussex, Union, and Warren counties. Now, the goal of the drought warning is to preserve and balance available water supplies in an effort to avert more serious water shortages in the future. Plans to direct water transfers among those water systems, control releases from reservoirs, and modify the rate of flow in streams and rivers in order to balance ecological protection and the needs of water suppliers is how the DEP hopes to avoid a crisis. Now, Chris is going to clue us in on that big story in just a moment, but we also have cause for celebration this morning. Rutgers dropped its student conduct charges against Chris. The charges were retaliatory. They're filed after he tried to document a mass evacuation of more than 3,000 students due to a prolonged power outage. So we're going to talk to him about that, plus the drought in just a bit. While he joins us here in studio, please take a quick look at this. Is some video of him being kicked out of the emergency temporary shelter on the Livingston campus. We'll be back with Chris in just a moment.
Did you get every signature from them?
I'm working for media, though. This isn't.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm student government.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, this isn't a personal thing.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
For,
No.
This is the athletic center on Livingston. There's a power outage at Cook Douglas. There are more kids at the RAC and.
Not allowed to. That's why I was coming off aggressive. I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Are you allowed to film?
It's for me.
And welcome back. We're now joined by Chris Roberts. Chris, thanks for your hard work and dedication. We got one of your stories in this issue, and a lot more coming up for the next issue. Let's start by congratulating you on staying strong and surviving this kind of proceeding that Rutgers forced you to endure. Tell us what was the final outcome?
So the final outcome, after 3 meetings and a lot of confusion about papers they were trying to get me to sign without telling me why I was signing them, they finally dropped the potential charges and sanctions that I was going to face because of so-called breaking the rules.
Right, so now you are in good standing as a Rutgers student. It took you just a couple weeks to get into trouble here at Rutgers, but you survived and...
Survived, and now I'm going to continue the investigative, thorough coverage of things that go on at the university.
Yeah, no shortage of stories there. So good luck with that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Now tell us about the story you're going to have published in just a little bit. The drought warning. What does this mean for people in Middlesex County and the other counties affected?
So there was a drought warning designated for 14 counties, as you said before, on October 21st by the Department of Environmental Protection. There's going to be potentially... The Department of Environmental Protection is trying to get people to reduce their water usage. They're telling people they should, shower less, maybe, try to use the same water for showering, for their washing clothes. It's because the water reservoirs that provide water for citizens in these 14 counties are very below what they're supposed to be at this time of year, because during the spring and summer is the time we start growing plants. Usually we get a lot of water now to store for then, and we're not getting enough.
So the reservoirs and the sources of water are not where they should be or where they typically are?
No. There's there's a drought. There's a severe drought for part of the state, and for the other part, in southwestern Jersey, there's still a drought watch.
Right.
And then even in the counties that don't have any type of drought, there's still a lot of problems with their groundwater. There's not enough coming from the unconfined aquifers, which provide the groundwater. They have enough rainwater, but not enough groundwater. So there's problems with water everywhere.
Right.
In New Jersey.
And now you've done some coverage of climate change.
Yes.
I don't think the DEP mentioned the words climate change in this, but do you think that there's some connection? Do you think that this is connected to climate change?
I think it quite probably could be, because if you put this in a larger context, a lot of other states in the country are also experiencing unusual droughts. Out west, California, Nevada, Arizona, a lot of good number of states in the country.
Right. So watch for that story later today on NewBrunswickToday.com. And hopefully that's as bad as it gets. Hopefully it doesn't go to the next level where then they would actually force people not to use water, and they try to enforce these restrictions in a more serious way rather than just asking nicely.
Absolutely.
So tell us, how's things at Rutgers? This is your first year. You've already done some stuff. What are you working on? What can we expect to see in this investigation?
In Rutgers?
Yeah. What are you working on?
So right now I'm working on a story about, several stories about the infrastructure problems at Rutgers. Specifically, the one I'm working on right now is about cockroaches that were in one of the buildings on George Street, one of the residential halls. I'm going to be doing other stories about infrastructure problems. Students in Quad 2 on Livingston right now, some of them don't have heating, and eventually all these stories are going to be combined into one big story probably several months from now.
Cool. Yeah, so infrastructure at Rutgers, big problem. Now you live in the Quads, that's how you know about this. Tell us, what are people experiencing there? You said there's no heat?
There's no heat in some of the rooms, so some of the rooms are very cold. The last couple nights, one of the nights, it was 33 degrees for the low.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, people are basically having to deal with freezing temperatures in some rooms.
And the water is affected too? No hot water sometimes?
The water has been affected. I haven't personally been affected by it, but I know people who say they have been, and they've had to take cold showers. That actually was also the case at the beginning of the year. In the first few days of school, I had to take a few cold showers because there wasn't any
Just
hot
wasn't
water.
hot water. Wow. So these are dorms that are, I guess, going on 50 years old now.
Yes.
And I don't know, maybe you'll be evacuated soon. What do you think?
Maybe, you know, I personally wouldn't want to go to wherever they're probably going to evacuate us, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of problems with the quads. I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if we had to be evacuated at some point. The ceilings in the rooms in the quads have asbestos in them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so touching them is quite dangerous for your health potentially. You don't want to screw around with the ceilings.
Yeah, no, you don't want to mess with that because then it gets in the air.
Yeah,
and
it gets in the air, and it's a cancerous chemical. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, stay safe there. If you need to sleep in the office or the studio here, you're always welcome.
Thank you.
Wouldn't subject you to those emergency shelters if we could help it.
Not the cots.
But everybody, please stay tuned to the New Brunswick Today show. We're going to be covering the election over the next, I guess, 10 days. And keep an eye on the website, newbrunswicktoday.com, for Chris's excellent work covering environment and the infrastructure at Rutgers. Thank you for joining us, Chris. Make sure you go out and grab a copy of New Brunswick Today.
Yep.
It's available for free. And we'll be back with you next week on the New Brunswick Today show. Thanks again for watching. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.